Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'll be crafting with a few of the die sets from the Cottage Cuts Sweet Treats release. And so here I have the easel, which the way that I like to work with the Cottage Cuts dies is to die cut from solid color cardstock. So what I like to do is just pull out all of my scraps and then place them over the area that I want die cut. So the unique thing about Cottage Cuts dies is that it's one single die plate, but there are multiple and in a lot of cases like very many die cuts that are on the single plate. So you could, if you wanted, die cut the entire thing out of solid color or out of white cardstock and then just color the pieces the color that you want. Or you can do what I'm doing where I just selectively place cardstock over the areas of the die plate that I want cut out. And as you can see here, often I can actually layer two 65-pound layers of cardstock and it die cuts just fine. Like these dies are really nice, very they cut very, very well. So if you caught my last video, you'll know that generally what I do if I'm not video taping or recording my process is that I'll actually leave the die plate on my the base of my platform because it actually has magnets embedded in it. And so especially with a solid die plate like this, it does a really good job of holding that still. And that way I can just place my bits of cardstock over it and run it through. But just for the sake of recording this, that's why I'm moving, the die plate and the cutting plate back and forth so much. If you're gonna do that, you want to make sure to just give it one last little double check before you run it through the die cutting machine, because sometimes, especially if you're moving from your work area to your die cutting machine, things can shift a little bit and you may end up with, and that's what happened with this first one. It shifted a little bit and I ended up with a partial die cut. So you can see part of my ice cream truck here was not lined up right. So not a big deal. I just went ahead and die cut it again. This is heavyweight cardstock that I already put some shimmer powder on and misted it with some water, and that gives it this really fun kind of mottled look and just something that's just a different look so that it's not just flat solid cardstock. And so I'll just continue. I've cut the easel, I've cut some ice cream cones, and then this die plate here is the ice cream truck, which has a lot of pieces to it. So you have all of the elements to create your truck. And one of the things I really love about Cottage Cuts is that there's so much detail. And for example, with the windows for the truck, so on the base of the truck itself, all of the windows are cut out. So you have those apertures or openings. And then there's a separate die, you'll see some of them here that I've cut out of iridescent mirror card that are meant to, and I'll show the assembly of everything after I'm done die cutting. But I've got a lot of little bits here, but you'll see in a moment. So that's the body of the truck. And then out of this iridescent mirror card, I've got the window, which is slightly larger than the opening. So that way you can actually glue it to the back of the truck. And then on top of that, you get the trim that goes around each of those window openings. And so just for the windows, there's so much detail and so many options for how you want to create that, because you could leave it completely open. You could make it look like it's the interior of the truck. So there's a lot of different options for how you want that to look. And I started off gluing these windows in place, but then I decided, since it's the back of the truck and nobody's gonna see it, that it's probably just easier to use a bit of washi tape. So then I went in that direction, and it's a lot easier than trying to get a little bit of glue right where you need it. So I definitely recommend that. And the there is that little piece of window there that goes, it's sort of the front windshield, basically. And once I get those in, that's pretty much, it's a really nice effect. And then you have additional trim pieces for your truck. So I said I was gonna just keep it blue and silver, but then I thought I wanted a little splash of color, so I've got some lavender pearlescent card. And with this one, you could always die cut it a second time and then inlay those gaps back in if you wanted another look to this. But I chose to kind of leave it. I was thinking about maybe inlaying the silver in, but then I thought I kind of like more of that blue coming through, so I left it. And then you've got this piece here, which is kind of the bottom of the truck and the rim of the tires. I've got the window trim in a silver pearlescent card as well. So lots of little pieces, lots of detail. And what I like to do with little pieces like this is I just put some glue on my hand, as you can see, and then I use tweezers to hold on to those little pieces and just dab the die cut right into that glue. It's I can dab it into the glue or dab it onto my hand to remove some excess glue. So I find this just a lot easier than trying to draw a fine line of glue, especially on these window trim pieces, because they're pretty delicate and pretty small. So that's one way of doing it. The other way, if you do have sensitivity to adhesive and you don't want to put it on your skin, you could always just put a little dab of glue onto. The white sheet I'm working on top of is actually a paper release liner, so you could put some glue onto that, and since it's not absorbent, your glue will stay wet longer than if you were to put a dab of glue onto, say, some cardstock. So instead of putting glue onto your hand, you could do the same thing, but just put some glue onto some paper, a paper release liner or some acetate, spare piece of acetate. So that's another option too. And I do have my quickie glue pen there, but I think it's drying out a little, probably because I do things like this where I leave the cap off of it. So watching this video back, it's not too terribly surprising that it's a little bit dried out. Probably just needs to, I could probably maybe run it under some warm water, and I think that would probably declog the tip there. So the wheel actually has a couple of pieces. There's even a third. You've got the tire itself, the wheel cover, which I've cut from silver pearlescent card, and then I guess there's a third little piece which I'll add, I think, in a moment here. And You've got the front and rear bumpers. You've got just that little itty bitty die for the door handle. And then there's also little ice cream cones that you can put in the window. So what I like to do whenever I'm assembling a cottage cuts die that is a little bit more involved, like it has a lot of pieces like this one, is I do like to keep the packaging near me so that I can reference that just to see what all goes where. I find that super super helpful because the packaging always shows, I think, just about every die cut element that comes in the set. And so it's helpful to have that as a reference. I decided that I want the ice cream cone that's on top of this truck to be really large. So instead of using the one that comes in the kit, or in that die set, I actually used one of the ice cream cones that came in the ice cream cone build an ice cream set. And it's maybe, I would say maybe, I don't know if it's twice as large because you can see the ice cream cone on the die plate there. It's maybe 50% larger, I would say. But what I realized I was missing was there are little pieces. It's incredible the amount of detail and everything that they think of. So there's these little pieces here that basically are the I guess support for propping up the ice cream. So it's just incredible the amount of detail that the designers think of when they create these die sets. Like even a little detail like that makes it so much more believable. Okay, so I've got my ice cream truck already assembled. This is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base, so standard USA2 size card. And I'm just going to do a soft inky background with some yellows. The first yellow that I tried was just a little too it's either a very dry ink pad or just a very light yellow. I decided to pull out my distress ink, and that gave me a much more vibrant yellow. And I'm not too terribly worried if it's splotchy, because I know that a lot of that's going to get covered anyways. Now originally I was thinking that I was going to use the ice cream truck with the easel and put the easel in front as if it's kind of in the foreground, and the ice cream truck behind it. Now, when I put the two together, they're at a very different scale. So it didn't seem, at least to my eyes, it didn't seem to look logical having the two in the same scene together. So then I started to think about, well, I've got all of these assembled. What's a better composition for putting these together? And I didn't have an answer straight away. So then I just went ahead and started to assemble some more ice cream cones. So in the build an ice cream cone set, you have cute little strawberries complete with the stems on top. You have little cherries with that have a little slit, so you can stick its stem on the top as well. And you've got dollops of whipped cream. You have several different styles or scoops of ice cream. And the neat thing about the ice cream scoops is that they have some slits in them, which are awesome places where you can tuck in different things like your berries or straws or things like that. So it's kind of nice to have that option. I have die cut it out of some pink cardstock that I had. I think This was some leftover cardstock where I just applied some embellishment mousse to it, and then the lavender one is again with some more shimmer powder. And on the chalkboard or the easel sign, I'm just using a white gel pen to write out my sentiment, which is "Summer is here." And I thought that would be like a fun little way to kind of put your sentiment on your card. And instead of going for that perfect stamped image, it looks more like, you know, what somebody would do is write with a little chalk marker on their chalkboard there. And so then I'll just assemble a couple of ice cream cones because I'm still not 100% sure at this point how I'm going to compose this card. I just want to give myself some options of elements to work with. So here's where there's that slit that you can slide your berries into, which I think make it look so much more realistic. Being able to tuck it into that slit there, it looks as if it actually is kind of tucked into the ice cream scoop. And so what I decided is with my ice cream or with the easel stand here, I'm just gonna put that on the front, but with this large ice cream, it's a triple scoop ice cream cone with a strawberry on top, and you get these extra little wood pieces that have really beautiful embossed detail, wood grain embossed detail. And so I'm gonna stick this ice cream cone as if it was sort of part of this easel stand here, as part of kind of the I guess the marketing for whatever that easel is advertising. And then I decided on the inside of the card is where I'm gonna put my ice cream truck. So it'll be a fun little surprise to have the ice cream truck. And I'll choose a sentiment when I decide what occasion I'll use this for. Because I think it still can be used for anything really, and or for no particular occasion at all. Maybe I'll just write a message. So here's the final look of my card. So nice and simple on the outside, but I think it's still super fun. And then you get this super detailed, fun ice cream truck in the inside of the card. I hope that you enjoyed this card today, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I publish them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.